You can't stop me. I don't need your permission to be a superhero.
You know who else said that to me?
I'm not my dad. I'm not my dad.
You know, I kinda loved Invincible Season 2. And that feels a bit weird to say, doesn't it? Because after the season finale has been out for over 2 months now, I can look back and ask myself these 3 questions honestly. Was the plot as good as Season 1? And did they do a great job of handling taking a break mid-season for 4 months straight? And did I feel like I got everything I wanted out of the Season 2 finale? But I don't know, man. Even with all that, it was still just something about this season that felt special. I think I found myself liking the interactions between characters this time around more so than in the first. The themes in this season are so heavy and diverse that on a week-to-week basis, it's so hard not to feel something special coming from off of the screen. So, my name is Maniel, welcome back to the channel. And after 2 months of the season being wrapped, let's talk about why Season 2 of Invincible and this show is still This season of Invincible explored a lot of good themes, from the theme of choice, to loss, and even the theme of responsibility. Let's focus on that first one though, because out of all the themes in Season 2, this is the one that even over 2 months later has stuck with me the most. So much we saw Mark having to make a choice over and over again.
But you need to make a choice, Mark. If it's college, then commit to that. If it's not, then commit to something else.
And I think the profoundness of this theme is in the fact that Mark's choices are what makes him human. His choice to not join his dad's quest back in Season 1 is what literally sets him apart from every other multiverse variant of himself. His powers are what make him invincible, but his actions, his decisions, his choice to fight for the good and do what's right is what makes him Mark Grayson. And I honestly love this theme. It brings up the idea that we get to decide what we want to go after, what battles we choose to fight, what life we choose to live, what people we choose to fight for. And that ability, that damn freedom to choose, might be one of the most powerful things we have as people. It makes Mark human. And that dive into the impact that choice has on us and humanity was so well portrayed in this season. And I think it's fascinating how Mark being in this situation really isn't his choice at all. His life right now is a direct result of his father's actions. And it makes you ask yourself, was any of this really his choice in the first place? And I even think that's kind of shitty. Because that brings me to the next theme that I really loved, and that's responsibility. We all know the age-old,
with great power comes great responsibility,
that we have become very familiar with over the years. But here in Invincible Season 2, it feels a bit different. Because the guy Mark fights like hell. The shit this dude has actually been through is wild. Not only is he dealing with the trauma of getting his head pushed through a train by his serial killer dad, but he's having to step up to a task that no one else can. He's the one Viltrumite on Earth, and he's having to step up for the rest of the entirety of the planet.
It's the most important thing I can do. I have to get better. I have to be better.
And that shit is so fucking unfair. Mark would love to live a normal life filled with going to college and hanging with his girlfriend, but the obligation to be invincible keeps him from all of that. And once again, I don't know how much of this was really his choice. Yes, he chooses to be good and fight crime, but his powers chose this life for him more so than he chose it for himself. Just being Omni-Man's son is what set him on this track. A track that was almost laid out for him before birth. And while it's heroic that he accepts the responsibility, there's a part of me that can't help but think it's a little unfair and shitty. But that's also the beauty of this season. Because on one side of things, yes, the bad decisions people make can affect others' lives, but the good decisions we make also have a positive effect. The people we choose to be every day matters, and it's felt, and that message itself is pretty calming. What about those characters though? I think one of the biggest things in season 1 is how we all might have had characters we couldn't stand and thought were a bit, well, annoying. But in season 2, Amazon kinda got their shit together with these complaints. And the elephant in the room on this topic has to be Amber, right? I mean, that girl received hate like a motherfucker. I can't tell you how many thumbnails I've seen of videos saying she's stupid and doesn't make sense. And I can't say that they don't have their points.
Hear what I just said?
Ugh, I know you're a superhero.
You know? You know?
I'm not an idiot. I figured it out weeks ago.
But honestly, Amber's relationship in season 2 with Mark was one of my favorite storylines. I love seeing the story between these two develop more and more. Episode 6 is one of my favorites from this season because of this. Seeing two people share emotions between people who are trusted in their lives to get some clarity on their relationship, it's the type of dialogue exchanges I can really get behind from a viewer's perspective. Every emotion between these two feels earned, real, and raw. It completely makes up for the mistakes in season 1 and then some. And the in-depth emotional story between Mark and Amber makes the setup for Mark and Eve even that much more meaningful. And how about that dude Rex? He pulled a hell of a 180 from last season.
And there is no third rule.
It's the redemption arc he needed. This time around we actually got to root for the guy. Seeing him go and be a good friend to Eve when she needed it the most really helped push me in the right direction for his character arc. He had a lot of great moments and dialogue exchanges with other characters as well through the season that felt real and true. I think this correction of his character helped lift the dialogue moments between characters more so than in season 1. In season 1, it really felt like we watched for the sake of the plot and story. But in season 2, the interest takes such a huge shift in the right direction for the character relationships. Whether it's Mark and Nolan, or Donald, William, and Todd, or even just watching Debbie try to get through her shit and still be a good mom to Oliver and Mark. The story is within the characters this time around, more so than in just the plot. But I do have to say there was one character whose story really stole the show.
I thought you were stronger.
The hardest part about this scene is that this is exactly what Mark fought so hard through all 8 episodes not to be.
I'm not my dad. I'm not my dad.
And he was tested left and right. Got everything you could possibly get thrown at you, and fought like hell through it, but still ended up right here with blood on his hands. I know at the beginning of this whole video, I said I wasn't the most satisfied with the finale to season 2, but damn, I love this story with Mark. And from my perspective, it's really a story of trying to prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. It's the battle he's been fighting with himself since his dad flew to space last season. And he feels like he loses this battle with himself when he ends his struggle with Angstrom.
He made me do it. It was an accident, but he made me do it.
We all know Mark had to do it because there wasn't really any other way to keep him and his family safe in this situation. And I know there's an argument that there's always another way, and maybe that's true. But it really feels like the universe pushed him into this.
What if I become him and I don't even know it?
You're not your dad, Mark.
But more importantly, I think this moment where we're at in Mark's story shows that one moment doesn't define who you are. I think that's the real message.
It's not fair. You don't deserve this.
This is like my 3rd time saying this, but the guy really has been through a lot. He had to adopt his mass murderer's dad's new son, cleaned up his messes all the time, constantly saved the planet, had near-death experiences with multiple Viltrumites, dealt with relationship issues, dealt with college, dealt with Eve, and then on his way home, had to deal with a multiverse supervillain. Like, give the guy a fucking break. But in every scenario, he's got up and kept fighting. And I think that's what defines Mark. I think that's what defines all of us. Not one moment in time that we might have got outside of ourselves, but the constant choices we make every day to be who we want. The constant battles to go after what we want, to go after who we want. I think those moments are the things that truly define us. And the best thing about those moments is the fact that we get to choose who we are every day. And that's what Mark will have going forward. The choice to not just be invincible, but the choice to be Mark Grayson. And I love the message behind this part of his story. And it's why Mark's story and this season of Invincible is special.
It's just you, me, and the odds. We stuck together.